So after we've gone through the 5 steps, as in we went to the Systems tab and the pipe command, and check the fitting type, system type, diameter and elevation, and finally the slope. After we finish those steps, we're going to start drawing. So I'm going to make the first click here, following the plan, then make the second click. Then I'm going to come down here, make the third click, then go over to this side, and as you can see, its diameter is still 40. Then we're going to continue all the way here, and in case you had any changes in diameter, you can fix them out afterwards. Now press Escape. Let's go over to this section, right-click and go to View. Let's take a look around here. As you can see, the elevation 3200 we gave to it still has some space to go even higher. So I'm going to use the arrow keys from the keyboard to move it upwards. And let's actually round this to exactly 3300. But as you can see, the pipe is still interfering with the sanitary pipe. So we could just bend the pipe at this part. So I'm going to be using the split element command and make sure the delete inner segment box is checked so that the inner segment would be removed. Then make the first click here and then the second click. As you can see, the inner segment has been deleted. Now we're going to also delete these 2 extra fittings and move this piece of the pipe higher. Now I can go over here, right click and draw pipe. And then I'm going to draw at, for example, a 45-degree angle, click. Then I'm going to move over to here and click, then press Escape. Thus, we have fixed the interference that this pipe had with the sanitary pipe. Now let's go back to the plan to continue drawing. For instance, let's try drawing this branch over here. So I'm going to get the pipe command again, PI, check the fitting type, system type. Now let's check our diameter, which is 25. There's also another branch on its right, and that one's also 25. So we're going to go over here and enter 25. But what about the middle elevation? It's going to be different here, meaning that this time I could just use the inherit elevation option so that the elevation is inherited from this main pipe. And as for the slope, we're not going to have any. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click on the edge of this pipe, and then I'm going to go all the way up. Right here to the wall, we're going to make a click and then press Escape. Also, as you can see down here, it gave us a T. Now, what about this part? The branch that's going to carry the cold water to the lavatory, its diameter is supposed to be 16. So I'm going to go up here and select 16. Then I'm going to go over here and make 1 click, and then move over to this side to the wall and make the second click. But I'm going to have to lower this branch down so that it's compatible with the elevation of the lavatory itself. So I'm going to change its middle elevation to 500. Apply. Now its elevation is 500 from if it fill, so let's press Escape. Now let's continue. As you remember, the diameter of this whole pipe is 25, but at this point it changes to 20. So I'm going to click to select this pipe, and I'm going to change its diameter to 20. Now let's go up here. We have a branch, which would be connecting to the flush tank of the toilet. Its diameter is going to be 20, so let's get the pipe command, PI. Then I'm going to go over here and enter the number 20 for the diameter. And as for the middle elevation, you remember that in the previous branch, we lowered it to 500. So I'm going to use inherit elevation again. But as you can see here, this fixture is blocking the way of the pipe. So let's do something. We're going to check the view range VR. And right now, the view range has not been adjusted. So I'm going to make the offset 0 up to the level above and offset 0 of the level above. Then for the cut plane, we're going to give it something like 1200. Now click Apply. Now, as you can see, it hit the toilet because it was in the lower level. And now we can draw the pipe easier, so let's click OK. We're going to get the pipe command again, PI. Then check the diameter 20, inherit elevation. Then I'm going to click here on the edge. Then I'm going to go over inside the wall and make the second click. Now we have to lower it so that it reaches the flush tank. So I'm going to change its middle elevation to 1800, then click Apply twice. Now what about the rest of it? The diameter of the main pipe changes to 16. So I'm going to select this pipe, then change its diameter to 16, then press Enter. And then I'm going to go over here, right-click and draw pipe. And for this next pipe, I'm going to enter the elevation 450, then click Apply twice. So we have drawn the branches related to this path. As you can see, we have the same exact thing going on over on the right side. So instead of drawing every single pipe all over again, we could just use the mirror command. To mirror our items, we could just drag to select the items we want. Only in this case, we're not going to be needing the T. We want to copy without this one. After we select our pipes, we're going to click on the mirror command, either using draw axis or pick axis. But since there's one axis in between, I'll select pick axis. The axis I'm going to be picking is the axis of this wall, so I'm going to click on it. Now they've all been mirrored on this side. Now if I want to make it precisely like the plan, I could just use the align command, align this with this one, and then to connect it to the main pipe, I'm going to be using the trim extend single element. This is going to be the base, and we're going to connect this to it. Also, as you can see, it added a T, so we're going to press escape. But don't forget that the cold water return pipe has to be to the right side, but since we mirrored this, it looks right in front of it. So we're going to have to get the align command again so we can put it right where it needs to be. AL, click on this line and this pipe. Let's also go over here and double check, and everything looks fine. Now let's go down here to continue our drawing. At this point, the diameter changes to 32. But what was the diameter of the pipe before that? We drew it with 40. So I'm going to select this pipe, the T, and this pipe, then change their diameters to 32. Press enter. Now to continue, we're going to right click and draw pipe. And with that diameter 32, I'm going to come down this way and make a click here. And after that, we're going to be entering the electric water heater. So this is how far we're going to go. There's also another branch right here leading to the closet. So I could just click on the plus sign of the elbow to convert it to a T. And then from this T with diameter 20, we're going to go over here, right click and draw pipe, and then change the diameter to 20. Then go to inside the wall and make a click. Then I'll change the middle elevation to 450, click apply twice, then make the second click. So by now we have finished the part on this side. But what about this side? As you can see, the diameter is going to be 25. So we're going to be entering that number here in the diameter. As for the middle elevation, we're going to be using inherit elevation. Then go to the edge of this pipe, make a click, go down here and make the second click, move to the right, third click, then press escape. After that, I'm going to click on the plus sign of the elbow to convert it to a T. Then from this T, we're going to have to draw a pipe with diameter 16 to the left. So I'll right click and draw a pipe, change the diameter to 16, then go to inside the wall and make a click. And I'm going to lower it to 500, apply, apply. Now continuing from this point, what's the diameter going to be? We're going to have to check the numbers on the left, which say 20. But what is this one? It's 26, so we're going to change it to 20. Then I'm going to right click on the pipe, then hit draw pipe. Then I'm going to click from here and continue drawing along the path. Click right here. And then I'm going to go over in this direction inside the wall and make the second click. Then change the elevation to 450, click apply twice. And then continuing, we're going to click on the plus sign of the elbow to convert it to a T. And then we're going to have to draw a pipe with diameter 16. So I'm going to right click on the T and draw pipe, then change the diameter to 16. Then I'm going to go down here to inside the wall and click. Then I'm going to lower its elevation to 450. Then click apply twice. So this is how we've drawn the entire cold water path for this part of the plan. Now we're going to model the hot water pipes. We're going to be starting off at this electric water heater. And as you can see for the diameter, it says 32. So I'm going to get the pipe command PI. Now let's check the 5 steps, fitting type. And then for the system type, we're going to select domestic hot water. Then I'm going to set the diameter on 32. And for the elevation, we're going to be using the same elevation we had for the cold water. So for now, I'm going to put 3450. As for the slope, we're not going to have any. So I'm going to go over here and click, then click again. Then I'm going to go upwards here, make a click. Then we're going to drag to here after the branch, then click and press escape. Now I'm going to come down here and click on the plus sign of this elbow to convert it to a T. And then from after this T, we have to draw a pipe with diameter 20. So I'm going to go over it and right click and draw a pipe, set the diameter on 20, and then go over here to inside the wall, click, and then I'm going to lower the elevation down to 450, click apply twice. So that's our hot water pipe. But at this point, it says that the diameter of the hot water changes to 25, but we've drawn it with 32. So I'm going to select these three pieces, the two pipes and the elbow, and change their diameters to 25. Okay, now here we have another branch with diameter 20. So I'll get the pipe command PI, check the diameter 20. For the elevation, we're going to use inherit elevation. Then I'm going to go over here and click. And then I'm going to go up here. I could just go all the way and make another click and then press escape. What's the diameter for this one? It's 16. So we're going to set the diameter on 16. And at this elevation, we're going to click, then go over here to the wall, click again. Then I'm going to change the elevation to 500, then click apply twice. Now for the next branch, it says that its diameter is supposed to be 16, but we've drawn the pipe with diameter 20. So I'm going to select the diameter and change it to 16. And then I'm going to go over here, right click and draw a pipe. And after that, I'm going to lower the middle elevation to 450, then click apply twice. So we've also finished this part. But just to double check, let's just put a section right over here and take a look. I'm going to get section and make a click here. Then I'm going to go up here to the end of the line, make the second click, and then I'm going to minimize my section so we could only see the hot water pipe. Then I'm going to right click on it and go to view. All right, now if we take a closer look here, you'll notice that we've drawn the hot water pipe at the same elevation as the cold water. So this is one interference that we have. Same thing here, as well as over here. So what should we do in this case? In fact, these pipes, when they are actually installed, they're much more flexible. So when we're installing them, we could just very easily bend and flex them in order to fix this entire interference. But when we are still working on Revit, there's actually no way that we could bend or flex this pipe. So we could just use the split command to split the pipe at here and at here. Then I'm going to delete these two extra fittings. And then here I'm going to right click and draw a pipe and draw at whatever angle. For example, I'm going to draw at 45 degrees. Let's draw this one and come down to here. Then use trim TR to connect them together. Then I'm going to lower this. I lowered it too much, so I'm going to try it again. And there we go. We could also bring the elbows closer together. So when you're working on Revit, anytime that you come across any interferences like this one, or this one, or this one, or any other case, you're going to have to do this thing to fix it. The cold and hot water pipes are usually drawn parallel to one another, and they would be installed at the same elevations. Also, like I said, they could just bend the pipes when they're installing them. But when we are in Revit, we're going to have to model them with 4 extra elbows. But what's the result of this? While quantity surveying, it's going to show us 4 extra elbows, whereas we might not even need any. Here we only bent the pipe so it doesn't cross the cold water. So that means that this is not the right solution for this case. So I'm going to select these parts. Then I'm going to hold the Shift key so I can deselect this cold water pipe. And then I'm going to hit delete. Then I'm going to use trim TR to connect them together just like the way they were in the first place. So one solution was bending the pipe, which didn't seem quite right. And the second solution is ignoring the whole thing. Here in Revit, we do know that they are interfering with one another, but we also know that it's fixable when installing. It's not going to be a problem. Now, you might have guessed the third solution, which would be lowering one of their elevations so that they are not crossing each other anymore. For example, we could just put this one at 342, and this one could be 345. Now their elevations are different only by 3 centimeters, but the interference is gone. But we know that when we're installing them, this interference is fixable. Only here in Revit, in order to fix that interference, we had to do this. Now let's head back to the plan and continue drawing right here. We're going to want the pipes on the left side to be exactly parallel to the right side. So we have to select our pipes. If we select by dragging, the cold water pipes will also be selected. So let's go over here and move this section's header out of the way. And the thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this pipe and disconnect it from this T, like so. Then I'm going to click on the minus sign of the T to remove it. Now I'm going to go on this pipe and hit the tab key once, twice. At the third press, it selected the system, so just twice is enough. Now let's click. And then I'm going to click on the mirror pick axis command. And then I'm going to go over here and click on the wall to pick it as the axis in order to mirror those pipes over on this side. Now we just have to move them a little. I'm going to align this pipe AL, then click on the line of the plane itself, and then on the pipe. Then again here, click on the plane first, then the hot water pipe, and here everything looks fine. Now to connect the pipe to the main line, first let's extend this one to here. And then I'm going to be using the trim extend multiple elements command. Why are we using this multiple one? That's because the space is common between these two pipes. So I could just click on the base ones and then connect this pipe and this one to it. Now let's double check the sizes. Here the diameter of the hot water pipe is 25. So we drew the hot water pipe with diameter 25. Now from this point on out, the diameter of the hot water changes to 20. So I'm going to have to change the diameter of this pipe to 20. Now right click and draw a pipe. Then I'm going to move down here and make a click. Then go to the right, click, then press escape. Now I'm going to click on the plus sign up the elbow to convert it to a T. Then right click on the T and draw a pipe. And with diameter 16, we're going to move here to inside the wall and click. And then I'm going to lower the elevation to 500, then click apply twice. Now press escape. Now after this point, the diameter changes to 16. So I'm going to select this pipe and change its diameter to 16. And then right click, draw a pipe, go over here, click, and come down here to inside the wall and click again. And then lower the elevation to 450, then click apply twice. Finish drawing our domestic pipes. Now the first thing that we should do after that is we have to check whether these domestic pipes that we've drawn are interfering with any of the previously drawn items like the sanitary pipes. After that, we're going to be checking whether these items are interfering with any of the other architectural and structural items. Okay, so as you can see, I've categorized my items in different views here. As in, I have a view where I can only see the ducts, and then a floor plan where I can only find the domestic pipes, and then another floor plan for sanitary and vent. So now I'm going to have to create a new floor plan where we can also see all of the items simultaneously. So I'm going to go over to this domestic view, right click, duplicate and duplicate. Let's do that for this one as well. Duplicate, duplicate. Now we're going to rename these duplicated ones. Instead of domestic water, we're going to write total, meaning that we want this to be a floor plan where we can see all of the items. Now I'm going to copy this total, Control C, then I'm going to put it over here, Control V, press enter. Now I'm going to select both of these total plans, and then I'm going to go over to the properties window, and I'm going to set their disciplines on coordination, and then set the subdiscipline on total. So we've put them in the right spot, and now we have to go readjust their settings. So I'm going to go in this total floor plan, and press VV to open the visibility graphics window. Here in the first tab, I'm going to click on all to select all of them. Then I'm going to check one of them so that all the others will also be checked. Then I'm going to go to the filters tab, and then here I could either check all of them or remove them. This way there wouldn't be any filters left, because in the first tab we wanted to check all of them. Also, we're going to go over to the Revit Links tab, and then here for the architectural link, I'm going to check the underlay box so that they appear lighter. Do you see how dark the lines are? They're also set on shaded, but we're doing this so we can see the items better. Now click OK, and now we've adjusted the settings for the total plan. Now let's double check. As you can see here, the domestic pipes are going above the sanitary pipes, and this might cause some trouble for us when we are trying to support. So I'm just going to take this and move it a little to the left. And also I'm going to take this cold water branch and move this one to the left as well. Now here again, we have the duct and this domestic pipe. They seem to be too close to each other, so it might cause some trouble, like when we are trying to create the support columns, they might interfere with one another. So once again, I could take this hot water pipe and move it down. And we're going to do the same thing for the cold water pipe as well to prevent this possible interference. Once again, if we take a look here, we will notice that the duct and the sanitary pipes are above each other. And even though we could just very easily place the support columns for both of them, but since we have enough space and because we want to have easier access to both of them later on, we could just take the duct and move it a little bit to the right. We do have enough space for it. So I'm going to zoom in over here and drag to select the duct and the tap. And then I'm going to use the arrow keys from the keyboard to move them together to the right for as far as we're allowed to. And we could also take this branch and move this one to the right as well to avoid its interference with this transition right here. There we go. So we've checked all of the possible interferences in this total plan and we fixed them as far as we could. As in, we've checked the space and moved around the items a little bit so that their support columns don't interfere with one another. Even if we don't model any support columns, we can still see that there's enough space between them. So now I'm going to select my domestic pipes. I'll go here and press the tab key 1, 2, 3 times. Once the domestic pipes are highlighted, I'm going to click to select them. Now I'm going to go up to the Collaborate tab, then to the Interference check, then click Run Interference Check. The items we've selected were pipes and pipe fittings, more specifically the domestic pipes. So in the column on the left, these items should be checked. Now in the column on the right, we're going to open this drawer and select Current Project, as then we want to check whether these domestic pipes interfere with check all of them, all of the items that are drawn in this project or not. You remember that all of the items we've drawn here are the mechanical ones and we haven't drawn any structural items yet. So now I'm going to click OK. And yes, looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 interferences. I'm going to click here to expand the first one, select one of the items, then click Show to zoom in on it. As you can see, this is the domestic pipe and this is the sanitary pipe we had. The axis of the sanitary fixture we placed here is interfering with this pipe. So what I can do to fix it is I'm going to take this domestic pipe and move it upwards, as well as the hot water pipe. Let's move it up so that when the domestic flow is going out of the wall, it would all go properly, like so. Now if I click refresh, that one interference would go away. But in fact, so many interferences were involved that so many of them went away. Now I'll select the next one and show. And from the looks of it, it seems like this is the Eastern Toilets flush tank discharge pipe, which is currently interfering with this trap that we had placed as its sanitary pipe. In order to have a better view on these things, we could just drag to select them together and either click on the selection box or just use its shortcut BX. Now if we zoom in and take a closer look, we will see that this is the domestic pipe. Then I'm going to hold the shift key and the scroller to rotate. Here at this point, it's interfering with this trap pipe we had for this fixture above. Now let's go take a look in plan 1 total. Let me also close these extra ones. So you see, I could take this discharge pipe and move it higher and put it somewhere around here. As in, I could take both of these because I'm sure this was also interfering. Then I'm going to move them a little higher so that they're no longer interfering with anything. After that, I'm going to click refresh. And now one interference is left, select and show. And yes, this one is also interfering coming from the toilet seat. So I'm going to select them. Then go over here in a selection box and take a look. You see this domestic pipe is going right through this sanitary pipe. So what can we do about it? We can move this one as well. We're going to take it and move it higher and stop around here. If you want to stay committed to the plans drawing, you could just bend the pipe, but there's no need for that right now. It's fine over here. Now let's refresh and we're done. So now I'm going to have to double check everything to make sure that these items that I've just relocated are not interfering with something else. In other words, we want to make sure that we didn't give a cure worse than the disease. So I'm going to go over it, hit the tab key 1, 2, 3 times, and click to select. Then go up to the Collaborate tab, Interference Check, Run Interference Check. You want to check these pipes with current project. Check all of them, then click OK. So we didn't create any new interferences as it says no interference detected. So let's close this. Now, without clicking anywhere, I'm going to go to Collaborate and Interference Check again. If I do click somewhere, then these selected items would be deselected and I would have to reselect them. So that's why I said you shouldn't click anywhere before you do that. Now, Interference Check, Run. Now let's check these pipes interference with arc and structure. Click all, then check all of them, and click OK. Now let's take a look. So now it's showing us so many interferences, even the pipes that are going through the walls. You see how most of them are saying walls? We could just overlook every item that's going through any wall, even the pipes that are going inside them. So we're going to ignore everything that's interfering with the wall. Instead, we're going to focus on the ones that say structural framing. By structural framing, it means the beams. So we're going to open it, select my structural item and show it. And here it is. This item's interfering with a structural framing or a beam, which we can't see yet. But as you can see here, we have some framings. And if I just put a section here, you will be able to see it better. Click and click. Then I'm going to minimize the section. Right click and go to View. Now, as you can see here, we have a beam and then this pipe, and all of its fittings are interfering with it. So what should we do about this? I'm going to go up to the Modify tab and use Split Element and click here. And a little before that, I'm going to click again. So now I have split the pipe, and because up here in the options bar, this delete inner segment box was checked, this inner segment in between was removed. Now let's press Escape, select this and delete it, as well as this one. Now I'm going to take this interfering segment and move it down below the beam. Now I'm going to go on its end, right click and draw pipe, and draw a single pipe at a 45-degree angle. And then I'm going to draw again to connect to this one. Now let's refresh. And now some of the interferences are gone. Now let's go back to the total plan. And I'm guessing the same thing has happened over here as well. So I'm going to move this section here, right click and go to View. And it looks like I was right. So I'll use Split Element and click here. One more click here and press Escape. Now delete this fitting as well as this one. Then I'm going to move this pipe down. And we're going to lower it even further so that it's not interfering with this cold water pipe. We will stop here, then go on this end, right click, draw pipe, draw at a 45-degree angle, and connect it to this pipe. Also, I'm going to move this one yonder so that both these bends are on the same axis. All right, now for the next one, I'm going to select the fittings and show, and here it is. It's over on this side. So I'm going to select this section and I'm going to drag and move it to put it right here. Right click and go to View. And yes, the same thing's going on here. So we're going to use Split Element and we're going to split this part. And then I'm going to drag to select these extra fittings and delete them. And then I'm going to lower this at the same elevation as the ones before, 3310. Now we're going to right click and draw pipe, then draw at a 45-degree angle and connect to this pipe. Now we're going to go back to the total plan. Then I'm going to take this section and put it here so we can repeat the same thing for hot water as well. Right click and go to View. Then get the split element and split here and here. Then delete these fittings. And then I'm going to lower this pipe right here, 3280. Now right click and draw pipe. We're going to draw further than at a 45-degree angle. And it's best if we connect these two by using trim. Its shortcut was TR. Now click here and here. Now let's go back to the plan. And it all looks better now. Now I'm going to refresh one more time. We said we're going to ignore the walls. And we have an interference with the ceiling. Let's check this one. Let's select pipes and show. And here we are. So I'm going to select this and move it further into the wall. Since it's interfering with the ceiling, it has to go further inside. Now we're going to refresh, and we have fixed it. Now, ignoring the walls again, we don't have any other interferences with structural framings or anything else. But you can still open each one that says walls and double check. For example, this is one, the items inside the wall, which is fine. Now let's check the next one. Let's go find it. And here it is. So feel free to double check each one of them to make sure there are no serious interferences. Okay, so all of that was for the cold water pipes. Let's check the hot water pipes as well. Press the tab key 1, 2, 3 times, click, go up to collaborate, interference check, run. First, let's check with current project, check all the items and okay, and no interference detected. Again, I'm going to go to collaborate, interference check, run. This time we're going to check with arc and structure, select all, then check them. Or we could click none and uncheck walls. Now click OK. And once again, no interference detected. So we've checked the interferences that our domestic pipes had with the other items, especially the architecture and structural ones, and had them fixed.